Hi, everyone. I want to welcome you to our CNC Monthly. Today, I have our guest, Kellor Smith, who is Director of Families and Youth at St. John's Episcopal Church, Oakland, and who was one of the original developers of the CNC curriculum. How you doing, Kellor?
Good morning. How are you?
Great, great. So I have a few questions we would like to hear from you on. And so my first question for you is, how did you come up with the concept for CNC?
I think it started at sitting at an outside table with Father Scott. We had interviewed a lot of parents and said, what kind of confirmation program do you want for your kids? Because everything we found just wasn't us. And one of our teenagers said, I want one like all my Jewish friends. I mean, we live in a community where, there are a lot of Jewish people and they celebrate their bar and bar mitzvah. So we started working backwards from that. If they wanted to have that kind of party, then what did we need to do to get them there? And that's really what started it. Experimenting for a few years with different ways to do it. Conversations. We brought other people in to help teach, and finally began to write it down. And that's thanks to staff that did that. And I think for the families, it was a strong feeling of, this is me, this is my child, this is the right thing for us. And so that's all started at a table outside, talking about a kid who wanted a party. So we worked backwards.
That's awesome. Now, Kellor, one thing I want to share with everyone that's watching this is Kellor has been doing this work at St. John's for 38 years. So she's been doing this a lot. What were you doing with confirmation before you came up with this concept?
Well, before we came up with this concept, we'd had a couple of priests who didn't stay long, and we had a couple of interim priests. So confirmation was a little more traditional at that point, where you had 5 meetings, you talked about it. It was each priest at the time's approach to it. But the parents, right, fine. But when this program started, it was not only intergenerational because their parents and their mentors are involved, but a real congregational development. So it was a whole program, not just here's what you need to get confirmed. It kind of went like this instead.
That's awesome. And so what are some of the things that, since you have done other things, what are some of the things that you think makes, you mentioned congregational development, CNC unique and different from other confirmation curriculums?
I like that there's an adult program with the intention of, while the kids are taking their youth program, the adults, the parents and other adults are doing it in their form. And it is a great conversation for families to have driving home, whether it's 10 minutes or half an hour to your house, sharing what you both did, or even if you meet at different times, coming together during the week to talk about it. The mentors are key to this program. It's not just staff. These are people who care about our kids and they build real relationships with them. They are able there to be a support and get enthusiasm going at times, and to help them memorize or to help them create. And the mentors have a huge role in the success of this program. That some mentors and kids stay in touch, some don't. But for the most part, the mentors are in the kids' lives forever. The mentors we've had over the last 10 years, still send a birthday card, still check in with them, happy to see them at church. It's an adult relationship, not just a peer relationship.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Can you share like a fun story of something that's happened when you've done CNC?
The one that comes to mind first is at an actual I confirm service, which if your bishop's there, you will have confirmation. And if not, it's just the service celebrating all the hard work they did together. It's where they share their Bible verse or tell do their teaching in front of the parish. And we had a young woman who had signed, yes, I want to be confirmed, because it is about a choice. We're very clear with families. It is the youth's choice what they want to do. And so they sign about a week before, they give us a piece of paper, yes or no, and or that they want a blessing. So we're now, at the altar, our bishop's there, our kids are starting to come up, we're presenting them. And a young woman who was still sitting in the pews because her group hadn't come up yet, started mouthing to me. And I'm like, what? Well, she decided at the last minute that she didn't want to be confirmed. And luckily I can sort of read lips. And she also, I confirmed it when, clarified it with her when she came up. And later she told me, I said, what was the last minute change? She goes, just listening to the whole part of our, stepping forward from our childhood and et cetera. She goes, I'm not ready to do that. So, and her grandfather was a priest and her uncle's a priest, and they appreciated that she, admitted she wasn't ready for that step. And in time, I'm sure she will. But at the moment, it was just so funny. And I could see her relatives behind her going, what, she's not getting confirmed. So, but I love that, because that's exactly it. It's the youth's voice. They can make their decisions. We're very clear. You can't make decisions unless you have some information. And she did that. She stuck in there. So I love that even up to the last second, you can change your mind.
That's right. And that's one of the things I think that makes confirm, not conform unique, is it's the fact that we in our curriculum really emphasize that it is a choice. You're not conforming to anything. You're confirming what you yourself believe and challenging those notions.
And that's hard for parents, because often confirmation is another thing you need to check off your list before your kid turns 18. And I find that some parents like, no, we drove you here every week or however many times, you're going to do this. And there are times when we've had to talk with the parents and explain to them it's their choice. We have to really back up our kids. And most of the parents have given in. I can think of one that did not. But once they go to the I confirm service and they see that it's about what their kids are teaching and the energy between the group and how hard they've worked, they understand the value of it for their child, not necessarily for the checking off the box.
Yeah. And that's so important. It's about the value of learning. It's not a check box. What do you get from checking a box, in the life of the church, especially when you look at churches that are in decline, people check that box and then often you don't see them again.
Right.
So that apparently doesn't have as much meaning as really knowing that you've instilled certain lessons that they're going to take in their lives with them, no matter what they decide for themselves.
Right. They're real life lessons and life skills is what it's created around. So it's a matter of allowing, the planting of the seeds, right? They just keep more people hopefully plant seeds, and hopefully our youth that have been through the program are planting seeds in other people. And I saw that in action this weekend when we had our CNC retreat, and we brought back a youth who's now 20 who did the CNC program for himself. And it was really exciting for him, but really meaningful. I spoke with him that he could do this with other youth because he remembers people doing it with his class. So you may not see them, for a couple of years, but he did come back and chaperone and was part of the lead in the discussions. And he'd been there. He had a lot to share with them, and they listened. Probably better than it would to us.
Makes me think maybe we need to come up with a CNC reunion. I'm also kind of curious, your thoughts. You were part of the piloting program we did this past year before we launched our new CNC Online. Do you want to share a little bit about your experiences with doing the online formatting?
Sure. Very excited about it. to have that option is important, whether you use it one year or not the other year, or certain kids are unable to make it to church. Distance is an issue for a lot of churches. They may have 6 churches come together to do it online and have just a few gatherings. So it opens up the possibility to reach a lot more of families, of children, of adults and youth. And they're so computer savvy that, you know, what took me a while to figure out, they're like, whatever, you know, and they're like, we're already there, Kellor, where are you? So they're already speaking that language, right? So they just fall right into it. And it makes for a different form of communication, because they can do some of it anonymously, or some of it is in person on the Zoom. And there's something about not being seen and still spoken, you know, that they feel more comfortable at times because they're not all in the same room. They can, you know, they can hit their camera off or whatever. So I find that it works for the kids. We've used it a little bit this year, but there are many parishes that work with other parishes. There are many kids who, through disabilities, cannot make it there, various problems. And so it's a really great addition and really useful for many, many churches.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to have those options when you need them. You know, it's not to say that it's going to necessarily replace your in-person or anything like that, but just to have another thing you can pull out of your bag of tricks when you need it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you can think of that you just would like to share with all these CNCers who are watching this video today?
I think it's a 1-year program is how we do it. It tends to work for families. It is a challenge for families to commit, and that's something they're not used to doing in the church. But families begin to realize the importance. It's not a drop-in program for us. The community of the parents, the community of the youth becomes strong. That carries forward with the mentors, with the other adults in the parish, or maybe helping set up a party or coming to their I Confirm service. You begin to include 100+ people in this program. It's not just the 6 kids and the 6 mentors and the leader. It really becomes a total church involvement to watch these kids. Some of them are nobody knows until that moment because they haven't really circled through church, and then they start to see them. It's also an incredible moment when we had a youth who did not write or speak clearly, and we were able to make it work for him, and let him shine in the program and let him still teach in a way that he could. And that's what I mean. It's for everybody. You can adapt it and pick the lessons you want and adapt for kids with all different needs. So I love that about the program, because a lot of our kids struggle with reading. They have ADHD, they've got, you know, other disabilities. So we try to meet them. That's one of our questions. What do we need to know about your child so that we can help them? Because it's about success, not about failure.
Yeah, and in today's society, it's so important to realize that you have so many youth that are going to be varying in their abilities to learn and to be able to adapt. And you know, I one of the things that makes me excited that's kind of unique, and I don't know how unique this is across the country, but you know, at St. John's this year we have all boys in the program. That's like there are no girls. Usually it's kind of the opposite of things, but we have all boys.
And it really is really nice. I think they're more relaxed in talking with each other, but you know, I think they would prefer some female energy because they're teens, right? But it takes the conversations in a different way because they all trust each other, and they just get each other's jokes, and the girls aren't taking over and the boys aren't taking over. They're having time. So it doesn't matter. We've had as little as 3 and as big as 19 in our program. I don't recommend 19, it's a lot. But it can work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time and sharing with everyone. And I wanted to ask everyone to tune in next month for CNC Monthly. And with this being November, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.